link side lump sum. They constructed fictional existence out of clay pictorial, radar pet, or controlled mountaineering, an earring plaid complaint. Played the placid, haphazard, happy heart concerto branched off in the direction of soup. Odorless, yet cleanser approved, dormant cider refuge. Refused the hammer of refugee, felt pillow talk. Head to the rail, listening to the tale of talk show forgiveness, blessed beaver stain greeted the granule granted clovers and other lovers, hangovers, hangers, and cleats, tinted potholders, arrival of the fittest. The fattest testimonials secretly tested a mess of octopus pixie pixel cost $1.25 apiece. Someone handed me a pot of gold, saying the leprechaun, someone handed me a pot of gold. The leprechaun reached into his sock and pulled out a satchel. The corner of Smith and Green, cab drivers looked over their shoulders, but Texans couldn't agree more. Hamburger stand announced plow tan guaranteed pity, pliable entertainment. A pittance of shrimp tartar, better than steak tartar sauce, received this prostitution in a series of calls, trying to get her to understand one was too difficult. Sinner's posture differs from saint's posture unless both bent over for spanking. Langston Tungsten Bunsen Burner Turner placed a Z on the ticket counter. New experiences not seen asked for, yet received him Heimlich. Self-titled prom date, smooching in egoism, seeing oneself in the eyes of others, surprised to be unknown, behemoth test the margarita for John the Episcopalian, running for senior class, persistent, always running, and finally pronounced the inventory smoky penile penalty for non-grown up fun. A grocery list the size of a volcano. These same stamps, recycled suns, patch for the eye, worthy ear, bleeding sexual teaser phantom, dumb doors, yes, dumb doors opened up, bleeding sexual teaser phantom, dumb doors, yes, dumb doors opened up, privileged grass shaker tree in alms on Palm Sunday. Sacred gainer swan dive into a pit of dungarees so regular and prideful. None other rings could account for no rings, not even the wrong one. Attire, Atlas, Attila, greetings from Manila and the rainforest of Quebec. Sponsored by Bahia, Bavaria, and Belize. A typical love affair between a man and a woman. The man loses the woman and finds her again under the sink of his apartment, determined to select a biosphere to complement the third atmosphere. A variety of cooking utensils are set in front of the television, aspirin, and a game of solitaire. He invites her to come from under the sink and speak during dinner. Dinner is a plate of peas. For lack of conversation, they count the peas until they are gone. Dialogue 1, 2, 3, 4, etc. End of scenario. Based on the Battle of Blank from the year 2006. Now that was a good biscuit, interjected Alan, the superintendent of the school for psychic defects. Let's hire a detective to find the whereabouts of the chief. A corpus, release green screen on backstage, government. Corner store and bicycle plain Jane upstarter, crime ridden fixation of study wall. Class dismissed, distressed and accustomed to acclaim, intense cycle of laundry bag, fist held high in complete resolve. You can't leave just like that. Yes, I can. Can you? That moment changed, requiring the syllables necessary to get the point across. This darkness so unnecessary, in between surfing, kidnapping, snapping jaws of turtles, and idle conversation. Most idols non existent, thinking that those bastions are more important than batons, constantly forgetting the real. 11 boxes of cereal lined up, then knocked over by milk toast. A vibrant son in law giving birth to hemorrhaging forethought aftertaste of toothpaste left on the floor, then tossed aside. Furthermore, Daphne. The words bubbled into his head, ignoring the I, Ching, decision, and renouncing the emperor all at once. Fever blisters, taco stands, shoe repair. That would be $12 for the repair. Another 8 for the placebo. Gazebo tippings not allowed in this country. In this country, all acquired taste comes from health inspection. Introspection led to dialect indirect causeway. The Greenwich tried to catch the bandit on the rise through threats and misguided connections challenging the cold front. Whatever department there may be, the guided guild for actors, anonymous, exposed, and tranquilized, folded out on a blanket in front of the random housed, obliged to stay there until the computer store, spanning time quickly, pacing the place to place, mystery misunderstood by most. Caught in the grind of daily papers, notate the obscene, pretending to disassociate the obsolete, moving about then claiming that the basement frequencies reached high into the open gulf, practices of hierarchy, banished rudiments, texture, washing board, shuttle, the open gulf. Practices of hierarchy banished, rudiments, texture, washing board, shuttlecraft, addition to the theme park. New ride envisioned work name or nomenclature, figuratorium is 3,000 leagues, turning vivid to stay, a deterrent clapping. Silent tail, tattle, and roll shelter always a rift in the grainy texture of the world. Tactile and special, sublimation of good. Why didn't you want that? Question mark. 3 dolls' heads talking together, not wasting time or being hassled by the climate. Ultra dare stricken abode, feckless channel for continuation, not to degrade or upgrade the chamber of sword fire worship and cleansing detail. Billows of flakes endangered, rushing. Escape pod devil no less posture than arguments and name calling. Everyone expected illegality. Arrested then let go. Merely the proceedings. Landscape scenario, scenery by time bless the blasted outlook of green. A biblical coil turn on the trail to arrest the individual address, fly eagle braid, bread tension. Gadfly, puzzlement, entertainment, eulogy. Flawless, lawless. Greater faction, pace, conundrum. Super stupid Euclid hero. All of this was based on a kiss, Basil liquefy a bomb shelter skeleton until the shipwreck discovered 2,000 tons of pork. Cash on delivery. Delivery service destitute, carnal breathing, dust fumes from psychosis, hospitalized, summer gorge detailed mystic pajama party, alliance for sanctuary. Not for long, not too strong, always eating, wasting energy on hip speech, entangled species. Get out of my light. He reached for an alternative. That was the pistol. He pointed to the shelf. Duty-free stance. 11 levels of disdain. A believer of levers. Lascivious understatement. Standing conscious on a stone ballad. Piston post for post-destructive syndrome release. A polite hello, then recompense for driving all that way. Cloud dice. Brother-in-law captured deer. Sold, spilled, carcass. Resting places, cast iron shield, a bay crosstow, crosstown in minutes flat. The faceless tarantella, bagatelle chagrin, formulas, for me, for mice, formula, form-fitting, farfig, Newton, far-fetched notion, boasting of seagull plantation, eliminate racism, cuddle soft to stainless steel shelf, elves, notwithstanding an adult situation, dares to rummage compared to the rung of situated altercations, the penumbra of classicism, an abrupt challenge. Change the gauge to 5. Laugh a lot solution, industrialization, aggrandizement. That's why I was just out living that dream talked about by storefronts and panel discussions. Prankster salivating, myth, rage, porter, dungarees, wars she into the water lily, watercress, waterless divide. The certain details of sudden TNT flavoring gunpowder stew ran loose on the dark highlight for pro-gainer pitter-patter, salad diaban. The suppositions were oddly mistaken, vending machine stairwell, donated by chance or percentage deal on the south wing crater field, held a line gel plastered throughout the equestrian. Charlatans cozy in inns glowing chariots. Rain puddle developed on lakes seen underneath and beyond. Plates sticking to the roof of the mouth, claiming to be miser Fettercock and Trojan telling love stories written on the back of glass and mother kindness for kinfolk forgotten in the storm. Hurricane 3 states over, one pot hole after the other, tripped up for the Valentine for 3 more days. Those diaries produced, published by pent up housewares, cares wagered and wagged at and away. The smell came first, then the realization. Felix was implanted. Planning a vacation, Sophia's family took the introductory course to the Koran, and I ran back towards the port to determine Speed Freak's arsenic out of range. Land this thing, Peter. Randy gasped at the Hooters on that one. Timothy Chambers chomped merrily on the secret ingredient hidden behind the stone cover of the sharp dragon terrorist. So much pain exhibited by the canary, warning everyone not to complain or supplant the complaint replacement. Glandular ghetto outreach programs. Explain that adventure. Pages 5 through 20 were missing. Someone always managed to expose the secret. A genre lace, convertible dryer, adjustment gear, fold celibate. Enter priest, exit prate, prater, father, prater pan, deli grocery, wooden floor. Span of 50 seconds gone by, retrieved in the nick of time. Dame los, dame los pesos, dame los besos y los mangos. Yo quiero buscarlo, tienes tardes. Yo lo tengo, tú tienes, nosotros tenemos, que quieres, la luna dana azul. My private hostess, solemn mistress, a valid request then to the terrace with Paris Palace. Gracias and thank you. I believe the queen is gone. Let's travel to her home, a place where I roam and spoon the gap. Perhaps a latent trellis, spire, count, goddess, and purple, careful pageant time. Magna come, lady, come for another break. The hate that I see at stake for 2 decades. Play both and settle on those powers that be. A fruitful toasted pencil curse and carousal arouse the crest falcon, the tank fortress bastion camel commuter pantherized skillet blanket. Basket of wonderful pause and control. Buzzards fly up in the sky above my head. Night end of dead. Movie night. Out of sight question and answer. Pure green tolls. The hospitalized ingrate was known to be filthy at times. Diaspora. Closer to plummeting into the forest region known as Ptolemy. Brainwashing or corporeal pastime. Luggage, the smudge aboard, or redial and try tiring. Chapter 8 Spear Trinker. I saw you in class the other day. You said that my ass was A-okay. I've got your number on the cell phone. I called you to help me with my homework. You are so sweet. The other guys are such jerks. We talked on the phone. Talk is not cheap. People offer opportunities to close the puny pugilism. There are God all over us, climbing into the window, going down the laundry chute. The smell of the buttermilk cramped style of the canary censored tolls written until the beast was no longer needed. Miss God, do not blend God. Personality disorders, channeling the worst of the batch. Looking back on those long walks up the hills or the bike hikes that went on for hours, health, a would-be factor in the natural scheme of things. Writers kept drinking to escape, but Henry Miller never met the jugs on that one. Perhaps he did. Tortuous tortoise. My friends are always telling me that the problem is larger than you thought. My friends are always telling me that you're such a creep. If I did, they tell me about the girls that were there before me. The anger led to nothing, just frustration. But I will not give them the shadow of a doubt. They're so mad. What's that all about? Respite always comes out of boredom or the will to make something better. Unfortunately, many times the lack of starlight erupts in the vain search for absolutely nothing. Self-abuse, self-restraint, the same listless nights of wishing for the conclusion. When the conclusion is realized, another problem arises. Write it out, to the crashing of the waves. I got you one night, the talk was not cheap, so we saved the bones for Henry Jones because Henry don't eat no meat. You said that our date would be like chocolate cake. The taste is so good, I want it on my plate. Modern writers like to perpetuate the homosexual cause without being that way. Why is that? We took the car to the drive in. You bought popcorn and I held your hand. Such a shame that you can't remember my name. The dark cover of Night Bedeviled, The Terrace, teen magazine fans chasing me down. Clowns were the reason why the token didn't work. Too many girls. I love you just the same. Your car is so hot in this parking lot. Shot in the dark is where it all begins. Speechless. You gave it up beyond all possibilities. Please don't leave me on. Throw your ego to the wind or on the floor. Lying next to you is my security. Samson loved Delilah the same way that I love you. Giving you my all candy, peppermint, pools of sunshine, helicopters. Who could blame me for holding on? Choose me over and over again. Don't leave me drowning. Kiss me gently. The key to the door is in my pocket. As all keys, this one is special. Only works for me to get to you. The gate is closed. We'll scale these walls, troubled decisions. We'll scale these walls, no more divisions. We'll scale walls. I'm climbing this mountain which you gave me to forgive me. Take me back, envision us in love. Paper dolls hold on so close. Paper dolls always cost so much. What comes to mind when you think of me? It's snowing in April, as the prophet said it would. Be good and see what happens. Laughing children are the future, so sure the believers will give an example, sample kind intentions, mentioning a spring filtering moors in heavy glove for dueling, traveling muses. I think that I told you to leave that thing alone. I think that I told you to leave things to whom they belong. I think that I told you to let bygones be gone. I thought that I told you it's time for us to go home. Chorus. I'm in your house again. All I want is everything. All I want is anything. Novelties. Fallen crowds are given clouds. Nonetheless, a chest of drawers, flowers, borders, blooming. All I want is anything. All I want is everything, but nurturing can't wait until I see you again. You're showing the symptoms, baby. Crying all the way to the bank. If that was all that you wanted, you could have gotten a job. Thanks for seeing me again. The torture of your smile takes a while to get over. You keep thinking that you're getting to me. There is no me to get to. Did you know that? Overbearing, even caring, showing, staring into your sphere, my baby. Here I am, a stone's throw away from you. What has happened because of what you do? All the gladness touching dust, town, lithogram planted secret passage to India. Book the crater shelf repeatedly divisionless. Less is more. What's in store for you? Diocese, frayed overbite, little penguin, extinguished delight. Santa's helpers helped her to resolve burdens deluxe. The pilgrimage of the deluge divulged gargantuan lotus leaves, iridescent radical experience in aqueduct, fenceless tire trial, mile for mile, good season in hell. Wishing that you were here for special renderings made encounter, soldering iron, glitter chosen brittle punching bag, grills and lips purple from black spit, blah spit. How can I risk? How can you resist the temptation? When you know that this love is made to be, when you know that this touch was made to be, meant to be, part of the world in its creation, is, when you know that love broke the spell. Back in the alley there was temptation, back in the days of temptation. There comes a day without redemption. There comes a day without redemption. There is a contention at the dawn of the ghost spilling the beans on the outpost of hypercritical objection. There is a contention at the dawn of the ghost spilling the beans on the outpost of hypocritical abjection. These are the days of redemption and the total ousted castle promise. We find ourselves going back to the street when this love was made. Why must we perpetuate this steez? Why must we perpetuate this steez? Stilo. We go into the depths of longing and the pigeonhole that was the gracious purpose of the visit. Your enemy is my temptation when you know that this snake is a parent. Your melody is my temptation when I feel the fever coming from your voice. Your addiction to me is my temptation to go on teasing the fountain, which is the action mutante. Penetration is the whim. Why would they choose to be so mean? Maybe it's the things they've seen on television, replied the specialist in rhetoric. Perhaps the vision lost at any cost would be a tirade of injustice only in your mind. A puzzle he always dissatisfied. Smarter than the others around them, a trial of hierarchy, chandeliers, total disarray, computers finding this illegitimate dreamscape. A caper for the movement of troll to conquer. Is this a dynamite chicken filled with holding onto the past and solutions thereof? Sneaking, creeping, reaping the spoils of insanity, manatee, jiggle post, modern recycled tantrum. A solution would be writing, solitary, and the world. Words fallen on deaf ears, no cheer to protrude from the everlasting demon patrol. The grated cheese in Helsinki reminds one of the telecasted outcome of war. They ate the guts of other humans, proclaiming their decision to follow the devil. That is not a delicacy, that is not a fallacy. That is merely the gesture made in the unholy cleansing process. Roger poured a glass of wine and sipped from the side until the vase was finished. I'll have another. The bartender followed the straight and narrow gaze from one end of the room to the other. Two dancers. My name is Diamond. Diamonds in the rough of the promise concluding the Warner Time vestibule. Not even the remnants of Rembrandt are above rules and regulations for the house. Amazing whale killers thought that they were a Nordic service. This would be the Norwegians. Killer whales swimming beneath the sea, playing with me. That is the punishment of mankind. Mentor soared above the clouds. I could count the number of kisses on one hand. Okay, I'll take your word for it. The word was go. All involved snored. Hang gliding, effectual enemy, enema aerosol, passages to laugh at, or the mechanical realization of sound. There was no rest in hell, just pats on the back in stacks made from henna. Syrup diluted the fourth dimension. Robin Hood in the hospital. L'Hopital looking for a new frontier. That the new frontier entered from the rear in the bed. Pilots denoting spoon-fed, hand-held walkie-talkies. This is the beginning of something great. Greater than the loss of freedom. Prize awarded the art slave. Beggars run off the road in a foraging contest. The best outlook was mistaken for a profit. The hindquarters were propped up on the left side of the seesaw. Rickets and ratchets, spool thread, the prettiest ones were a challenge for Hector. Way out on that farm, thinking about the seclusion from the world. There still was time for them to explore the testiness of the wild. Each waterfall was a hidden secret, ad being underneath it was like living in another time. Consider that the wall of water was timeless. Hector fished for the beautiful ones under the sea. Given deeply to chagrin in the practice of highway robbery, foibles and scales, jubilant devices, thrice this bean bag has been diced and unloaded. Unfortunately, there were no beans in the bean bag. If there had been, maybe the dog would not have starved. The dog was possessed by an evil spirit. This spirit was rid of by writing the words Dio, Espiritu, Angus in a circle on the floor. The horses, from Hest to history, a parting hug would be nice. Killer bees paid the price for a pot to piss in. Kissinger probably overreacted when the shower water would not meet the standards, a pace only kept by the Most High. Some trains were meant to provide transportation, Other trains were meant for watching the time go by. Time is an important factor, often overlooked in the gym stream of things. 3 minutes, 5 minutes, 20 minutes, time. America soap, the rope, soap lather, acting like a child, acting like an adult, acting like a child, acting like an adult. The boring end to this staple was the fruit fallen from the giving tree. The sharing tree would not share. This made Herman opt to take up bartending. To go from salesman to bartender is a big jump. Was that an equal exchange for the soul prism of New York? Once the other personality was established, Herman gave the fruit back to the giving tree. Drinks in the house for a limited period of time. Seeking the heat missile from inside the trunk of the car. Burial at the same honorable spot discovered licorice flanger. After a few hours of working, he'd visit the bathroom fairies. Toilet fairies then retreated, pause, beat, finding bliss would be welcome. Toilet fairies then retreated, pause, beat, finding bliss would be welcome. Look over there, bliss. Milk troubled Glass performance. Glass performed a long list of songs, movements he called them. The movements called him from the throne on which he slept. Glass was the vitrine. Glass was the window to the lost world of himself. So is everyone, was the reply. Cordial at the front door asked to come around back. The reptile in the glass is good as a bird in the hand. Handsome boys cradled the ubiquity of youth, left the young girls in a fray except for the Swedes from Sweden. Invitations from around the world, studios, goals, tenderly and rectangle. Milk, troubled glass, performance, selected juice cream. Milk, troubled glass, performance. Glass performed a long list of songs. Movements he called them, the movements called him from the throne on which he slept. Glass was the vitrine, glass was the window to the lost world of himself. So is everyone, was the reply. Cordial at the front door asked to come around back. The reptile in the glass as good as a bird in the hand. Handsome boys cradled the ubiquity of youth, left the young girls in a fray, except for the Swedes from Sweden. Invitations from around the world, studios, goals tenderly and rectangle. Milk, troubled glass performance, selected juice cream. Papaculo devoted domestic affairs, histrionically speaking. The great cover up only took seconds to resume. The resume read incoherent under the body extravagance, Gatsby style. What do you think that the outlook would be? The underbody extravagance, the criminal outreach program held the two in check. Transatlantic, dirty business people ordered the fossilized zebra tank. Ode to a porn star. Ava Shannon blew my cannon, knew I couldn't keep her. On the bed, giving head, pausing for a sleeper. Swept in passion, then disdain, the kisses ever lightly. Penumbra of being, no longer sing, my wish, this dish be nightly. She could join me, Ava could, with all of her devices, humble abode, clothes on the floor, sue me for a likeness, Loch Ness, lair, don't be scared, skirt, embracing. I've become very exacting. I've become very exacting, galacting at the sight of hemorrhaging, foraging, singing with a kickstand. Distance traveled, rain unraveled, absolutely fabulous. Maybe one day I'll free the slave and move into a palace. Bliss spilled razor tracks on the floor, deplorable sweetness, unchained sheets, wedding gifts from the preacher, spoiled brat. He could have at least shared the cotton. Swabs were a kind invention that should not be hoarded and held for ransom. No one understood. No one could understand. Brooding made this so accurate, a crew. Lord, take this newborn and shield him from violence. I couldn't hear without the cotton balls, or at least cotton swabs. We practice the dark arts. In order to practice, we need the assistance of the cotton. An order was made, cotton everywhere, 40 acres worth. So why don't you dart your ass over there from whence it came, and bring some cotton too while you're at it? Years of astonishing statements lifted flights of stairs to the Outer Banks. From there, Pinocchio pointed to the fjords floating in the desert. The jeep was taken. Throughout the route, there were chutes and ladders splattered about the mall. A lull in the conversation on conversion soothed the sequel toward Challenger. An obsession with new things was old hat, expensive things, not all that. Reluctant to do it oneself, the deeply constructed silence forgot the truth. Misnomers made me dizzy. The congealed plexiglass, steam stained windows, perpetrated dust kicked twice into anti-Durham. Anti-popsicles handed out at concerts. It wasn't even cold enough for that. You need to relax, take a load off. All criminals were punished and sent to jail, even if they did not believe in it. Just a matter of time. Where's all of this money that we were promised? Not here, said the goose. Not I, said the pirate. Not I, said the parrot mockingly. Not I, said I to the mockingbird. It was killed shortly. To kill a mockingbird is a horrible thing, but to bring it back to life is even worse. I have no control over what I have seen or say. The melodies, the visions of life, the words, compilation of man for the sake of communication, destination, Manzarek, Richard III, founded grape leaves, rancor and testicular floodgate ejaculation. This would be the porn series dedicated to only one star. Picked up in the bar, poolside brawl, orange tater tots. I know what the station looks like. Next to the neighborhood bar, next to the neighborhood. Lessons on toothaches will begin tomorrow. Oh really, O'Malley? Oh really, Rialto? The toast was not as clear in direction as it could have been. We befriended Rachel for that. Just listen to those keys. Adhesive, clumsy radio, chill channel. Are you coming back for me? Yes, I mean no, what? The ghost fumbled through the wardrobe to find something to wear. He had a hand in every affair up till now. Perhaps this affair was too much. Studios made for imaging, mastering, mass appeal. What's the deal? The cameras couldn't recognize genitalia. Everything came out the same color. Shouldn't have put the red in white. The whites made me quite blue. A thrill to record. A throat hit directly on each day, a low, killing rate. Banished from the dream, a turtle arose and took off its shell. I will walk again in my natural form, he proclaimed, then dissolved the fish tank in water. So many days without one's own habit to live peacefully. Thunder struck the side of the tree, splitting it in half, and the answer was lacquer. Lacrimonious outburst schooled the gestalt. Audience participation went too far. The gates to Hades closed for the summer, a kind of vacant Disneyland. Let me in, said the little mermaid. No. Cherry bombs from the cherubims. Beeb all over the floor. Milky Way. Unbeatable relaxation, hexagon, octagonal, all at once. Bees decked out in stripes for the fall season. Bedecked, screened, washed, hosted. Veritable table saw, seesaw, burnt umber, burned Umberto to echo after the lobster math coochie storm. Riddlin, rid, rhyme, riddling, holes barred, blank, confession. You too would have done well to recognize the shameless old geezer, souped up for control. Who asked you? The question looming rang loud, distancing the dancing monkey from the gear shifter pizza parlor picture taker. I just didn't want her to walk away. She did anyway. The bus was around the corner. The pictures still remained in entrance to the light colors of Turner and Constable, Ike and Tina, Ted. They turned their heads and fell in the hole lying in the midst of the floor. Mystical miracle that Anish Kapoor didn't kill them. His brother Yom Kippur practiced the teachings of the Kabbalah. The yarmulke fell onto the floor. You'll just find another girl to use. Being with her was floating. The fleeting moment trying to hold on to it for as long as C.K. Williams could describe. Shout out to Hillary Masters and Yellow Sox. By saying it, roadkill, rot a gift. Forgive and forget, ergo ergonomics. You are negating the future of etymological intimates, ethereal real-time events. Roadkill, Rodskill, Penelope. Love struck, incubus, permagnet, extolled, extortion. Playbill, episode 5, dog meat. You dog dare me? Dog meat for tranquility, alligator shoes, pimp device, a grand crevice. How many years have you done this? Enough to call it art, was the reply. Hand me the crack pipe, please. Actually, we're running out of crack. Would you rather some heroin? Why not? Add a salad to that, please. It is good to know that you are beautiful inside and out. Expressway, love to you through her through this. Who got you into this situation? They were so intelligent that the gate crashed, supplying oxygen. We held hands in the dark, sweat coming on gently, saddled on the back of your neck. What the heck? In the wild, there's a mild concert on, traveling from dusk till dawn. Don't abuse your muse, she'll love you all the more. A bouquet of roses never hurt. Do not flirt with the danger. Deep pebble blue, drink the cider and you. Original sin, the outcome of man, rambling on, ramble on. Chapter 9, Planetarium Dreaming. Planetarium Dreaming. Streaming nickelwood into the decidedly fable-worthy peacock listless and fresh for the taking. They were interested in folding purple into sweaters for the winter. Later on in the dream, they depleted the supply, arrested goodwill, and folded their arms into rest. A valuable mistress commented on the fortress, inherited no fault of its own. Destined to decree, the jewel fondled, rolled about, and infiltrated a box. Lifting a box in a trailer 50 feet by 100 feet, not even. A salad comprised of celery, random greens. I'd prefer a steak, a stock, a steak. Who's screaming at who? Beings arose and took hands, caught up in the lack of alternate sandalwood treaties. Upper scale helters skedaddled their way into the cubby hill. Upper scale helters skedaddled their way into the cubby hole built for Lois Lane. I never realized the sexual cone of comic book heroes until one horny night in Denmark. At 28, one may have realized this already. Upstaged by tongue hanging from the mouth like a rabbit doll, all of the toilet paper was gone. Lois was a wise girl, tall in stature with hairy armpits, unwashed, unworthy, thrown back for the migraine, run amok, mistaken folded carpet rolled into one big centerpiece for the injustice of hardcore. Which harpsichord motion sickness is that? Asked Lois Aeschylus. I wouldn't confess otherwise. Beaming thrills enthralled the other harmony, streaming back into the saddle, closing down the feeble-minded. They would always be the same, carted into seasonal servitude, the servitude, adult actions taken over the product. Samson controlled the foolproof plan, greatly appreciated the guys handled loosely on the correctly conjured cajole correct. Samson controlled the foolproof plan, greatly appreciated the guys handled loosely on the correctly concert cajole correct. Funded Sally's attempt at the pleasure, grounded mysterious bold intentions, figured the plan would disintegrate a folding chair, in turn summoned towards the new group, duplicating anathema. An anesthesiac introduced Sally to the new orderly, entitled customs official who holds on to the gaseous element, letting the elderly enlist. A collection of record covers led to the exhibition floodgate, provided that oatmeal was not included in the deal. Disappearing for days, the element of surprise, ringleader, open doors to folding chairs, historically waned on the shore. A mountain, a train, seaboat, 3 arranged in key modification. Randy Spunk, Foster Pillboy, lassoed the last fan hazard recorded and centered even throughout the ghastly bastardization of Mission. Abercrombie, heard the noise, then suddenly cleared a path to the bathroom. Rugged and sprinkled farmer, bearer of good tidings and looking grills in the face. The pegged aroma of arate, samples of seagulls falling, deciphering dictionary, action startled, and the superimposed shrink. Rank and fulfilled. Graded coupon puzzlement, intrinsic slated Raza. La Raza entered the building. Acupuncture ceased, sound bites, legitimate coffee mate in hand, secret composer, smothered in green. Coming to save you in complete surprise would be a whim comprised of token sadness, splendid dire whiteness, completeness. The repeated syndrome cause for suckers, rummaging, pillaging, controlling the lost war. Vikings, customs coming and going on controlled architecture, leaving a mark on the world, a stain, an embellishment. Opponent for the opulent texture, the mind processing emergency lisps in a quarter of a millisecond, blast rating tiger textiles embossed in chocolate covered boysenberries, lustfully eaten dry gulch and cornerstone rhetoric proceedings. A justified return of wealth due to the overthrow of death row sentences. Subject to change at any given moment. Once you've learned the job, execute splendid lobster stylist, Okra Winfrey. There's no need to avoid the completion, radiant, heat-seeking muzzle, willing to console the aqueduct, wind chime zero in on the rambunctious, unctuous, clinical technician on the rise, villainous candy flippers, tripped analog control devices, panels, impending upswing, and diligent appetite for sniff. Smut unfolded before their very eyes. Well, did you? Yes, I enjoyed myself. Equalization, inseparable quest in order to take care. Carriages built for carrying the train of thought, envisioned as crystal thunder, engulfed in green miniature bandstand. Either concentrate the level of due into one charge or have each felon convicted elegantly. Demitasse, orange rocking chair. You thought that deep admittance, exalted cream cheese, dairy produce, veritable variable, sing along with intrigue. Zipdale doodle dum, dee do do, zippy blue, rapid, red, green. As in the comic sketch similar to the likes of Reeves and Mortimer, caving in the boundaries, ovary shaped, prune type head. So many restrictions inhibit this life choice award for naivete. Causality, relief program, I love too hard. I live too hard. Interest in the unbeatable gone down since the IRA landed a report on a fellow peace officer. Writing words for the hearing impaired for the sake of hearing themselves. This phenomenon often takes on another meaning. She put her arm around my shoulder and dispersed discharge honorable Israel. Loping o'er hill and dale, trailer sickness, hummingbird delight. They wheeled a barrel of coke up to the second floor apartment we all forgot to wash. Hildegard, Hildebrew, knew something that the elders didn't. They renewed a pact to deliver covers on demand. An excellent trail, never congealed, yet disengaged all the same. A real Scottish gesture. I found you so far away, washing my sins away, seeking total control. An array of fingers muff diving for the first time. Others mock the skill involved. I merely reached for another egg. They too will sit and ask another question. Queen questioned all queens within a 5 mile radius. Claudius captured, insured, insurance, Seixeira. Climbing cathedrals quickly, held on tight to the hand that brought about a tangible discovery. Trained to Brooklyn. Most of the geishas were too intelligent for the rodeo. One Geisha Arnett, was closer to the bullpen than any geisha had ever attempted before. Rich in minerals and water, she branded the steed with quick, agile haste, not qualities, qualifying her to receive. From that moment on, was considered cliche and intolerable. Wench paddy wagon go for real. I picked up the receiver and realized, years since call, hang up the jolt. Hold on to graceful tool handles. Proliferation, spanning a lifetime achievement award. There are plants with more pH balance than most men or women. These plants make us happy and thankful for melanin. Rinse Cycle 5. Most of the broadcasters wanted to save their privilege for removal, but an army of locusts changed all of Custard's plans for latency. Experienced and vibrant Succor heaved Mitor's final farewell. Lator, Mitor. The Tooth Fairy, Prison Escape, Papillon Nightmare, and Elemental Arrangement Blessed Torture. Klaus Barbie doll dressed lightly without clothing on the top, not stopping clothes out within feet of the Tooth Fairy. Whining minstrel stolen. The Tooth Fairy placed a quarter underneath the pillow. All of a sudden, a hand was on her wrist, and she was being escorted by two children with 9mm. This quarter shit ain't gonna get it no more, fairy. But I thought that all little boys and girls liked the Tooth Fairy. There's not enough those around here for you to be leaving quarters, said the little boy. Don't you got some hundreds or at least some fifties? Chimed in the little girl. They won't even buy a 40. You'll have to up the ante, fairy. Oh really, O'Malley? The little boy placed the nozzle of the 9 in the small of her back. A drop of sweat ran the length of the fairy's forehead, which was quite large indeed. Fuck that. Put the fairy in the incinerator. The incinerator indeed. The children approached the furnace. This bitch is about to feel the wrath of Ghetto Skipper. The girl winced when she heard this and raised one eyebrow. Ghetto Skipper. I'm Ghetto Skipper, goddamn. Oh, it's like that? Yeah, for real. The two began quarreling, leaving the Tooth Fairy a narrow margin for escape. She had her cake and ate it too. The rest of the night, the Tooth watched her back. No more badass kids, she said as she clocked her Glock and double-checked her quarter dispenser. The Tooth Fairy scaled city walls, dove through the dumpsters, fending off rats to finish the deliveries. Fortunately, there were not so many deliveries considering the Towel Clause added to the Constitution. The Towel Clause stated, Article 37, Section 455, no meter maids bearing quarter holders are exempt from quarter holder towel tax. They are to report to the city's commissioner and display the towels with proper monikers, justified equilibrium, opprobrium, signed George. Static madness encompassed the well-being of the apostolic state. In shame, the head was the lost, unfortunately spelled purposefully, ladylike, and building tension. Special forecast of spider intensity dipped in trotting alone in real time after patrol. Forgiveness, upheld leader, uplifted and rejoined. Pole position reached degrees. We've decided to go on both sides to hide the rancid itchiness involved in the discovery of new territory. Each memory enhanced twice over, and Roy G. Biv could dispel the cathode ray. Cathodes, catheters, bon vivants surround the center bulging, involved in secret scandals involving ritual, supple kindness. I saw you the other day in a film. What was I doing? The answer did not matter. A placement, orange plastic, was placed in front of the toadstool pedestal. Sink. Donuts splashed in coffee, rinds of corn, realms of indigestion. She thought that the tower would not yield indigestion. Sanctified outburst covered the gamut from red to blue. Shelves filed in the same division as fire and serendipity. They all folded on the floor as soon as the chicken was done, hung from the get, stained immaturely. Grant's tomb granted entrance, entrancing darkness computerized, calculations all laden in black. The colors superimposed on the field, good field day for exercise, exorcisms, and funny smells. What was hidden under the ring? Bugs of every kind, snug. Pop silicone titties. Maybe if I was a white guy with a cardigan, would you talk to me? If I was a white guy with a turtleneck, I could be on MTV. But I'm not a white guy, so you're scared. To have me around, I'd have to go get a haircut, bow down and be a clown for you. Oh no. There I go, oh no. Who stole the show from you? You can blame it on him, the black guy. Better yet, if I was a white girl with implants, you can manhandle me. But I'm not a white girl, so you better hide your silverware, Hanoi. If there were two enemy allies waiting the golden crust, purposefully added to the dawn of Figaro. An explanation of the floor technique, only a simpleton decidedly bleeding carcass caressing a stubble field. Big bands and military produce. The great matter of solitude, smoky, even trying to build the grocery from the ground up, making the best of subtleties provided for in language. There is a gauge used to purport the cuddle. An age of information has proliferated the peaceful antagonist. To exist far away from the brick turmoil listed as beyond, a graduating class singing homage to change. Whatever you thought was happening was not. The hospice entertaining hospitals. Macaroni and cheese again? The argument lasted a limited amount. Crystallized fiction, abject authority, pain, and pleasure. Who displaced the story? Human intentions, splendid diorama, ghost-shy, sparkling humanoid. Just to hear that philanthropist speak on the subject again. The professor waited outside of the door of the lecture hall. Students filed in one by one, cold early morning, learning how to party for the first time. This test is optional. Everyone left and ran outside to experience laxative. Routines and cobblestones, press agents, couples crumble on the corner, gross injustice to collide with the astroworld, given lost, lust, grapple. Help me, unskilled. Unskilled workers rummaging through the garbage, hollering. Wandering cooking tools, discussions on the filibuster tongue, listing enchantment, listening to it. My arms are hot coals buried beneath the sands. She wanted so much that the zipper closed, handle and all. Zipper handle? What's that? Very cerebral celebrity, I must say. Tug of war. A tug on the violent mink stole sent the bugger flying through the air. A launch pad for scientists. Security in numbers. They may tell you what they want, but is it really true? Stranded in the good world, straddling kumquats, manhandled Kuwait, imports, exports, sandwiches. Which ring would you like this hand to encounter? A shaftless, shiftless pool, contorted, speckled eggs. Winnipeg was a scandal. Rothschild ate horseradish as a child. Mammoth ratted him out. I refuse to eat them now. Rothschild sent the radishes along with the stole flying through the air. The stole landed next to a humble abode situated deep in the forest. What type of practices go on there? No restrictions apply. Everyone party elephant capturing toboggan. Chilled hooves, please. The menu was set for me and one for my spouse. Heat-seeking penis found penetration after unfamiliarity established a life somewhere. Yeah, right. Stuck in the same old? Go and change the game. Change names, changed observations, coronations nightly. Bribe me to make it real good. Understanding the understood. Wanted soldiers built cranberries, solid pictorials. Oil prices, priceless. Governed crisis whispered, wispy tourniquet. Cordial, smelly, laughed a lot, then stifled. Wallpaper. Rinsing, rising, lifting, totem pole decision. So straight in their lights. Smoke, flower, idiot, strain of thought, lies, lung, incarcerator. The big clue is gold. Hammerheads, gobber. Words on beats, battered minstrel tunnel. Maquillage, maison, menstrual cycle. Menstruation, looking for the lost cradle. Nothing missing, pictograph. Silly tunnel. Side-winked, hoodwinked, shuttlecocked caramel. Three-pronged. Not feeling very interested, subjugate, objectives. The priest turned his back on the audience. Dates, back dangerously to a catcher in the rye. Bread token Trudeau, box. Restrictions apply here. Signed on the line was a lover given rebellious talk, a refrigerated panoply parasol, Marisol. Mullatigwani, bump and grind until further notice. Thinking so much about preparation, thinking as the world goes by, harvesting fashionable treatment carols in sunshine, all for a token of appreciation. No one ever really got it. Testify carnal, testify withheld, sequence, why not? No one ever really got it, Janat. I am in Janat. Am I in Janat or am I in Bengali? I just get scared when someone thinks that I'm from Bangladesh. The situation so sporadically gone with the wind chimes telling Cutty Sark. What was the foible? Feeble-minded intrigue, Oregon. Wilhelm held fast to the antlers, bull horns, career-oriented. They only wanted to meet fat people, important people, working-class heroes. It's like building a tower out of toilet tissue. Nurse back to health. Nursery usury rhymes. Reasonable doubt. Harvest moon. Detach the decadence from hindsight. All missions resumed on Monday. An interesting lot. A noble end to a shouting match held in blue. Target audience for this one is Bubblegum Delight. An old woman in a shoe made treacherous remarks. Remarkably, everyone in the room was on mute. Whose suit is this anyway? The reply, mine. 15 hands raised high in the sky, speaking in unison. How do I turn this lamp on? Tampon. Everyone in the room was mute. They thought that you were kidding. Emotional battle, believing that psychos planted green grass for all the season, likeness, Chambord, Beaujolais, Gelato, Ogelado, a car, backseat, no pants, beer, weed, cigarettes, rampage, helicopters, Helluva, Halifax. Being nice got boring real quick. Wait until the ultimate challenge is no longer here. Not taking advantage of the love cycle, psychophant, Pepsi, psychology, wash towel, romper room, Roper's valuable Christmas pump. Every sordid detail laid on the line while they opened the barroom doors to yellow doors on each side, bric-a-brac tile. A scheduled island on the brink of sinking, spellbinding, spellbound, graveyard, gravel site, a gavel and pestle, Mortimer and pedal, glass beacon. Granger, tattletale, dick jokes are not funny. Pressing them by the bald eagle. Sounds like bad decisions, collisions. You were all so smart. Revenge being the last frontier. Belly up. Scarsville. Sacred Pimple Brook. Penumbra of lightness. Scheduled. Chili pummel, pomegranate, grilled salmon, fallopian tube. Excuses, excursions. Collier. Wrinkles, obsession with metallurgy, skilled pumpernickel, green peas, escape. No! None of the blood washed up on the shore. Crazy fading, cross-fading, transforming, record buying equals DJ. Using one of the players' title, Little Ice Cream Begonia. Bygones are bygones. Buy boy, purchaser of Cadillacs for group sex shows on Ridicule. No one ever did anything but criticize and stop. They still like to see plays outside the theater. Horse flank, ingenuity, grasping for straws, gladly damaged, bag lady, trolley car, Absalom, aplomb. Chapter 15, aplomb. Aplomb, a bomb, sugar doses, hose beaters, threatening rainfall. If that is all they saw, why question the authoritative debit? Sandwich pupil, puppy love granted. There were only 3 Bibles fished out of the baptistry, trying to enter heaven through the pigment in the floor, vestry. Sanctimonious undercurrents will be unleashed today along with syllogism. Spy versus spider versus chains versus clutter versus a new bungee jumping course offered every Sunday morning. Testy, ignorance, wisecracks, crack houses, even in the growing pans. That ketchup was so expensive that no one ceased to ask for it. Could I please have the most expensive bottle of ketchup, please? We are all out of them, ma'am, the shopkeeper retorted. Perhaps you could try the Netto across the street. I'd rather chili sauce. Clowning Around was the #1 hit in the 70s, 1873. As if the barricaded blonde, one corset in cotton testosterone, Greg consented, Greg contested. Greed divulged the concrete. Will you do my hair tonight? Well, we'll wait until further notice. When will that occur? I don't know, perhaps tomorrow. Let's sit and do naughty forever. No. No naughty. No naughty. No naughty. He had the feeling that they were saying the same things over and over again. Then what could one do? Wait. Wait for what? Permission. I'll give you 30p per mission. I gladly accept. Getting used to it. Parallelogram bond, bail bond, and cracker trading. I'll gladly trade you 4 crackers for 1. Are you sure? That's great. 4 crackers for 1. Are you sure? Okay, 1 cracker for 1. I refuse. No equality, please. A sanctimonious fight rid the Gunther Schuller technique. Fire worst Fibonacci. Hedonist, ranchers, fucking sheep, ratchet, pink girl, yellow girl, rainbow girl, orange girl, raisin girl. How many cases are the abject reverse of what you thought would be the pleasantries presented by the Jewish Council? Skittles, Skechers, name brands are the paltry rated bar. A penny for the guy, Guy Fawkes blowing up Parliament in a distinguished plan that was caught out there. No more twiddle for the younger twaddle found Golden Palace panties lined with green for a good display. The judgmental crowd, pleasure seldom, pickled herring shelved the arbiter. The same thing over and over is not necessarily progress. Duress, dressing gown, derivative of Uber hopping, excuse derived from depression. Towels thrown in. The stroll down straw proved to be a learned fixture. Space fixture, pictures thrown onto the couch. If there was money involved, this problem would never arise. Which problem is that? Faithless caress on the cheek? That was fun for you, prize fighters. What are you talking about? No one knew. Potatoes. Plastic groundhog. Pet, filtered, ridiculous talk. Walking backwards. The great eye opener kept all of the proceeds coming. Endangered species. Specie. Pizza. The towers of switched off, turned on. Touch the vanquished radio, charge the truth. Hidden informant. Trial and error. Frigid equals cold. You pretend not to be affected. When will passion start? You tend to be objective, stricken through the heart. Stake your claim. Guard let down. Guard let down. The charade was political, fraud, fraudulent, hysterics. Done directive. There must always be a dilemma, otherwise there would be no habitat for self-improvement and creativity. Whether the action takes place in one local or several feelings interrupted coitus. There are some who know your past, hold your secrets fast. I am not one of them, nor are my brothers. Tricksters sent with holsters, jokers bent on the prospect of money, constantly rejected, directed the cursed missile on point. Is it always like this? Perhaps. Beacons and misdemeanors led to sentences. The sentence penalty wrapped. This big adventure, big brother, someone always watching, yet never watching at all. A hamster in a wheel, brain experiments. The regime continued as ordered. Lots of progress made. Still witnessing chandeliers fall. The same as faces in the rain. I'll have to wait for you to come around, then again, maybe not. Still poor, still involved, still frigid. For how long? There was another waiting. Non-gelato, non-gratis, none such. I slept next to you throughout the night. All of a sudden, you are the one who soothes my pain. A kiss from your lips will give me life. I think about you throughout the day. The web we weave could be untangled. It's up to us to make it right. The sound of your voice is my temptation. The smell of your skin is my delight. I depend on you for our relation. The look in your eyes shows me the light. The further up the ladder, an easy wish the gamut, polite with no complaints, a righteous amulet. After this, after what? Time after time, secret gardens, soap and farmers to come into the daylight until the end. Each happenstance made the soldiers stronger. Each cheap romance landed them in the slammer. A cold desert night. Equal to play the stammers, each Jekyll turned to hide, raised the yellow lantern. Author's note. Some of the words in this dialogue are misspelled, except the piece as fossilized information to be processed by each individual in their own way. Trying to reclaim the old flame was like prying an old woman out of her favorite chair during soap operas. I was a hobo. My grandfather was 95 when he died. He had memorized the features of the land. The white car pulled into the driveway. He hit on my grandmother from another side of the family. He called her Honey Baby. When you are old, anything goes, including your mind. The house in Shreveport was small, chickens in the backyard. I remember an ant farm. The ants crawled on my legs, stinging. The same sting that the switch left when my grandmother tagged that ass. Always caught for fighting with my cousin Angela. Later, I was told her boyfriend would come in and beat her, or better yet, he would wait until she entered the house and attack her with the lights off. This ruined most relationships for me. That anger from the thought of the situation still troubles me. I only met the boyfriend once. We started that trial. Now it must be finished. Melvin talked about stealing. Well, man, it was yours to begin with. I was looking for you back in the day. You were? A peaceful surrounding for the baby. Booming granny cooked apple pie for dessert after Thanksgiving dinner. Dinner included squirrel and raccoon. The mud was caked on our shoes. It was obvious that the libretto was not working. A king for your queen? Then the game would be over. The object was not to win. The object was to shrink. Calculating moves would come with time. Then the invincible happened. Seltzer-free beverage encroached on the sugar wall, grafted from the outside, fissure, schism. Creature Bible was not the same as ours. We placed a nice saying on the marquee, i.e., each day be kind to someone, and after a year it will show. People arrived on their own volition, violated green card rights, magnets on the hospice, little wind left for segregation, Scandinavian love slaves lined up for the battering ram, catapulted across the Atlantic. Smells and sewers burning. How ancient. Video seeker camera junkie. I need that 8mm back. I am unimpressed by everything, woofed the dog. Then let me borrow $1, mewed the cat. I watched the dark shadows surpass the ground when writer's block was nigh. Journeys, Gerties. The waitress at the bar asked if I wanted a drink. I think that I told you I don't buy drinks. She was astonished. I walked out of the club. You're such an asshole. Whatever. They were only doing their job. Most people doing their job are doing things without thinking. A pretend skull battered to solid perfection. Perplexed the reasonable, doubtable, conjugated vowel. Hospice hopscotch was delightful. They grabbed the gray tabby and put her in a cab. This happened after Kier dove into the toilet and crawled out of the door. The cab sped off willfully. Eskimos contorted their skillless jumpsuit. Every day was like a bubble. At the end of the hall was a cannon, lit in jewel-based baseball glove. 5 days later, Carmen made moves on the basketball court, equal to none, a grave hoop de ville. 7 flights of stairs still lifted voodoo powder. The lake of fire was an apocalyptic gesture, hot with the minuscule taped shoulder holsters. Sent out to your death, funny man. Scores upon scores of graduating classes. Still acting the part of funny souls, quilted aftermath, treacherous guardians, pencil neck, cocoa barrels, cuckolds, the starving gift senders. Picture that, a gross indifference.